Hey everybody, welcome to the Truth About Relationships. Hope everybody had a really great Thanksgiving last week. Tonight we are going to be talking about a topic that is very big, especially among singles, soulmates, right? I get a lot of questions from people wanting to know, like, how do you find your soulmate, right? Some people even question, like, soulmates, is that even a thing, right? So I want to talk about that tonight, right? Because it's kind of a big deal, right? It's like the thing that everybody wants to find when they're looking for a potential mate, right? Oh, I want to find my soulmate. Now, some people, don't even, like, some people don't know if they believe in soulmates. I'm kind of curious if you guys believe in soulmates, right? Like, what do you think a soulmate is? Everybody's got like this different idea. Whenever I host my Truth About Relationships chat groups, like the live in-person meetings, this is a subject that comes up a lot. When I ask people, like, what do you think a soulmate really is? I get a whole host of different responses, right? Different ideas and definitions. But some of the things that people usually agree on is it's a really deep connection. It's somebody who kind of gets you, right, at a much deeper level, right? It's not just about physical appearance or physical attraction, right? It's not even just like compatibility. There's something about that connection that like speaks to you on like at the core of who you are, right? And that's what makes a soulmate connection. There's also a lot of debate or opinions on, if soulmates are real, if they really are a thing, well, then how many soulmates do you have, right? Is there only like one person in the entire world who could possibly be your soulmate? I don't know, right? Like, I have no objective empirical evidence on this, but personally, I find the idea of having just one soulmate in the whole world a little depressing, right? Because what if you never meet them, right? Like 7+ billion people in the world. What if your soulmate's on the other side of the world and you guys never hook up, right? That would kind of suck, right? So I personally tend to lean, it's just my personal belief, I tend to lean more towards the idea that if there are soulmates, right, I'm just going to assume for a moment that that's true, then you've probably got multiple people who could potentially be your soulmate, right? And that's just kind of personally reassuring, right? I think that there's a little bit of evidence to back that up because, as much as we humans like to think that we are unique and we're special and we're kind of different in the world, I mean, the truth is we're not entirely unique. There are a lot of people who have had, experiences like our own, who have, genetic makeups like our own, right? Who have a similar way of looking at the world, who even look like us, right? We're not as unique as we like to think, and the connections that we form with people are not as unique as we like to think they are. So anyway, I think that the idea of having multiple soulmates is something that is pretty cool. I think it's definitely possible that you can have that deeper level connection, that soul level connection with lots of people. And by the way, I'm assuming like there's a whole like religious side to this that I'm not even going to get into, right? But this whole idea of soulmate kind of like assumes that we have souls, right? That there is some part of us that's non-physical that would like kind of live on after we're dead or something like that. But anyway, that's a topic for another time. So assuming that soulmates are a real thing, right? Assuming that you can have them, and again, I want to hear what your guys' thoughts are, in the comments below, right? Let me know. Do you think that there is such a thing as a soulmate? If so, what is it? Like, how do you define soulmate? Do you think that there's only one? Do you think that there's multiple potential soulmates for you? But assuming that all of that is a yes, right, that they do exist, that maybe there's multiple ones out there, how do you go about finding them? How do you go about attracting them? And I'm going to jump back for just a minute to the conversation that we were having last week about, when we were talking about how to kind of navigate the holidays with your family if you're single. And, the main kind of core of my advice was, to really focus on being happy. And I had a guy reach out to me and he said, Joshua, I'm kind of struggling with this idea because, I feel like I'm a happy guy, right? And, I'm enjoying my life. Things are great. Things are going really well. But I'm still getting kind of pestered by my relatives, right? And whenever I say I'm happy, they look at me and say, not really. No, you're not. And, we kind of talked about things a little bit, and we kind of realized that he really isn't as happy as he thinks he is, right? We kind of started looking at different areas of his life, and his kind of overall level of satisfaction, when I asked him to kind of put it on a scale of 1 to 10, he was actually like a 5. And in my book, a 5 is not a happy person, right? A 5 is a person whose life is kind of so-so, right? Their things are okay, but they're not really great, right? They're not really fulfilling. They're not really, you're not experiencing joy or passion, or like, living a life that feels like it's just bigger than yourself, consistently, right? I mean, we're not all going to have that all the time, right? But, in order to kind of get above a 5, in order to get into that like 8, 9, 10 territory, you've got to be experiencing that on a very regular basis, okay? And he realized he really wasn't. And so that's kind of where I want to draw the distinction when we're talking about soulmates, right? In fact, I asked the guy to rate himself on a scale of 1 to 10. There's actually a 1 to 7 scale that I have an assessment for that breaks down 7 different levels of energy, going from the lowest, which is like victimhood mentality, total apathy towards life, through like conflict and general acceptance and caring for others, and finding opportunities in life, to joy, to like absolute passion, right? These 7 levels, okay? And I have an assessment that like measures the level of each of those levels of energy in your own life. And if you're interested in it, let me know. Shoot me a message. I'll send you a link. But anyway, this guy was living at level 3, which is the level where life is okay. It's so-so, right? He's content. Nothing in his life is falling apart, but things aren't really super great, right? And this is why people were still kind of questioning him, because he wasn't living from a place of passion and joy and fulfillment. And I argue that when it comes to attracting a soulmate, you cannot be living a life that's just so-so. It can't just be okay, right? It has to be, a few steps above that. In order to attract somebody who is your soulmate, right, you have to be living from a place that is soulful in your life. Soul, like S-O-U-L, full. You have to be expressing yourself in the world in a really big way, because otherwise, how are people going to see you, right? I know a lot of people who are like, oh, I'm going to attract my soulmate, but they have all this like victimhood energy, or all this anger, this frustration, this resentment, right? Or they're so jaded at the world. I'm like, man, your soulmate could walk right by you and is never even going to pick up on the fact that you exist, because your soul is so covered up with all of this other heavy crap, right, that they just can't even see you. It's that whole idea of like, you're a diamond, but you're also covered up in a whole bunch of shit. And so nobody's going to see the fact that you're a diamond. And so if you want to attract somebody on that soul level, you have got to do the work of cleaning off the diamond that is inside every single one of us, right? And finding that beauty, and don't just like keep it to yourself, right? If you want to attract a soulmate, you've got to start expressing who you are in the world, the real you, the part of you that has a fire, that has a passion, that shines brighter and bigger than anything else, right? Like, you've got to be the best that you can be in the world. And I don't just mean like the smartest or the richest or the fastest or the whatever, right? I mean the best version of yourself. You've got to be willing to put yourself out there in the world, be really real, be really authentic, be vulnerable, and have the courage to face the world with a smile on your face, no matter what they come back at you with. Right? No matter what they say about you, you're still just going to, step out there and shine and be yourself. And when you can do that in your own life consistently, then when your soulmate walks past you, they're going to pick up on that. They're going to look at you and go, oh my God, that is a person that I want to be with. That's a person that I'm really attracted to. And guess what? That's a person who's speaking my language, right? That's a person who's living from that deeper part of themselves. And that is incredibly attractive. Even if it isn't to your soulmate, it's incredibly attractive, right? But if it is your soulmate, right, and the two of you are both living from that, you're going to see it in each other, and there's going to be an instant spark, right? It's unexplainable, but it happens, right? And so when you start living from that place, when you get rid of all the crap, right, that's been covering up your diamond, your jewel within, and you really let yourself shine forth. And again, it's not passive, right? You have to be like really active and intentional about bringing your passion into the world, bringing your fire, your gifts into the world. Everybody has gifts, right? And we all like to think that, oh, my gifts were things that were given to me and I have them. But I kind of think of it as, yeah, you have these gifts, they were given to you by whatever source they came from, higher power, God, universe, whatever. But they're the gifts that you have to give to others. They're the gifts that you have to give to the world, and you're the only one who can give them because you're the one who has them, right? Don't think of them as the gifts that you've received. Think of them as the gifts that you have to give, right? And everybody else is going to be gifted by you really being in your power, by you really being in a true presence of who you are, right? When you start giving that gift to the world, other people will notice it. Other people who are on that same kind of wavelength or frequency are going to notice it. And the people who align with you on that soul level are going to be attracted to it. They're going to want to hang out with you. They're going to want to get to know you. Some of them may become, lovers. Some of them may just become really good friends. I have a buddy of mine who's like my soul brother, man. And like he and I just like get each other and almost every level. It's so great, right? I have no physical attraction to this guy whatsoever, right? But we get each other. And so I want you to be attracting multiple soulmates into your life. I want you to have soulmate for your primary relationship, maybe multiple relationships if you're a polyamorous person, which, by the way, is next week's topic, polyamory. But I want you to be attracting soulmate friendships, right? I want you to be attracting soulmate family members, right? Like maybe not blood relatives, but people who are part of your clan, your family. That's what I want you to be attracting, right? So this is how you attract a soulmate. Okay, that's the most important piece to the whole equation, right? And if you want any help on figuring out why you might be struggling with attracting that kind of a person or those kinds of people into your life, shoot me a message. Let's talk about it, right? Happy to help anybody, because when you find those connections, it is the most rewarding and the most fulfilling experience that you will ever have. Ever. Period. And I want you to have it. Okay, so have fun finding soulmates. Let me know if you want to talk about it. Let me know what you think about soulmates in the comments. And again, next week, all about polyamory. This is a huge topic that is coming up more and more. It's becoming much more mainstream. So we're going to talk about that next week. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. I mentioned earlier in the show that I do the Truth About Relationships as a live discussion group. Next one is coming up. I will post a link in the comments below. And if you guys want to come, if you're in the Ann Arbor area, Detroit area, would love to have you there. So I'll stick the link in the comments, and I hope to see you guys there. Otherwise, next Wednesday, 9 o'clock, polyamory. It's a big topic. See you guys.